back to another episode of After the Trumping. Today we're going to do a little bit of the educational kind of stuff. I'll show you this graphic, show you this graphic, a gold one and stuff. We're going to talk about it. But before we get there, there's one of these oops moments that I promised you that we have to deal with. If you've been watching what's happening recently about Donald Trump and his administration, there's no getting around the inevitable, which is that Donald Trump is a sex pervert. He is a sex pervert. Don't get me wrong about that. That doesn't necessarily mean something bad, because I'll talk about that in another video, but it's unavoidable. This is a guy who's forcing the country to deal with some rather unusual stuff about his sexual activities, including sexual activities that relate to who he is as a president. So when we get past this oops moment here, we're going to go back there a little bit and talk some more about what that means, because it is part of what's going to happen after the trumping. But today is the educational thing. I mentioned to you, see, I'm going to have a green thing here. You'll see it right up here on the screen, and you'll be able to read it a little bit. We'll leave it up there long enough, and then I want to give you another graphic that'll show you how to find this on the internet. But one of the things I want to do today is show you this item on the screen up there so you can see it, because what I found was the newspaper called the Washington Post actually put 12 items up for stories that they did on what the future is going to look like, on important things that could help us solve some problems. What they did doesn't have anything to do with Trump, except, of course, the fact that he's in office and he's making some decisions now. But after the trumping, what they suggest in their thinking of ideas, what they ask some experts about, is going to be different because of what's happening now. So I want to do something about getting back. I want to do for you something about getting back to those 12 ideas that the Washington Post offers. But at the same time, what I did, and you'll see this graphic later up here, might flash it up here so you can get a look at it, but we'll put it back up there later for you. This actually has 10 items that I want to talk about after the trumpet. 5 of those items deal specifically with kind of changing the environment to the point where we can fix what's been going wrong because Trump was in office. The other 5 after that are examples of the way that we make specific changes to bring about solutions to problems that we have. That's the goal of After the Trumping, is to learn from what happened now and put it into practice again in a way that is better because of the influence of Trump having been in office. Having said that, let's go back to the green here. You'll be able to see it here on the screen, and today I'm not going through all of these. I just want to point out a couple things about what they're doing here. The Washington Post asked 12 experts around the country to write a small piece about what they would do in order to fix the world, to make it better in the future. Well, these are the 12 ideas that they came up with. 2 of them, I got to read here because it's a little more detailed. Number 3 and number 11, I crossed them off here. They basically don't belong there. One is just silly and the other is for political correctness. If you don't like that, they included number 11 on there about cutting all the rules and regulations and simply eliminating basically all of government, and then we don't have any problems anymore. I don't happen to think that's a serious response, but it's one that they felt obligated to include. But if you look at the other ones up here, you'll see, for example, a massive expansion of local housing would help with serious housing issues. So this guy makes an argument about how we could do that. Universal access to childcare, issues about making, creating essentially a guaranteed income or a trust fund for every baby born in the U.S. that earns money as the child grows and has it available when they get to education or work, or to help sustain them as they go. You can see a bunch more of things, dramatically expanding Social Security, for example, or giving everybody a federal savings account which essentially would be putting $500, I've heard, or $1,000 a month in an account for everybody who earns, say, less than $50,000. The co-founder of Facebook came up with a book about this that we'll talk about later too, and how you might do that and what advantages it would have for the country to give people just a little taste of enough money so they don't have to worry about the basics, rather than work out all the details everywhere of all the basics. I'm not sure that's going to happen. We have to put some basics in place too, and that's kind of what this is all about in After the Trumping. So here's the gold one again. You'll see it up here. I'm just looking at it for myself. In the gold graphic here are my ideas about things that we need to talk about in the next 2 episodes. The next episode after this will be the first 5 items on there, and the second one after there will be the second 5 on it. This is going to be our educational thing. That's why we did the school background, because we got to learn something a little bit, but it's not that hard. I wanted to show you the Washington Post piece because it shows you that other people are serious about what the future is going to look like. They're using technology, they're using things that we've learned in their thinking and saying, we can do better than this. Well, we can do better than this, but we can also do better than this because of what we are finding out isn't right with what Trump is doing, or isn't right with some of the ideas, at least, that he's implementing. So again, these 10 items here, I'm going to cut off the first top 5 of them, and that'll be our next video to go through them, and the bottom 5 will be the one after that. So I'd love you to come back and watch these with me as we talk through the details of that and give you a chance to respond, give me some ideas, tell me what you're thinking about it. Don't forget to subscribe. You see the buttons on here to subscribe, and you see a little information about my websites and other places that I write and things like that, where I'm essentially expanding on some of these ideas and giving a few more, including some of what the Washington Post did in its 10 on the green form. There are things that they could add there, and there are things they could do better that I want to write about, and hopefully we'll get to that after the Trumping as well. Appreciate you being here. Kick back with me, give me some feedback, let me know what you're thinking. Thanks again. My name is Alan, and this is After the Trumping.